Okay, today I'm going to show you how I took one large meatloaf to create other meals. And I'm going to count how many meals we get out of this one meatloaf. It's a great idea. It's already baked. You can have your couple meatloaf dinners, your meatloaf sandwiches, freeze some of it, and then you can still have meatloaf to create fresh new meals. And if you don't eat all of that, you can freeze some of that food also. We're a house of 2 people. Now, if you're a house of 4, this will go twice as fast. I've got one very lean ground turkey meatloaf, and I can link you the recipe. I make this all the time. It's been a favorite in my family for years. For my mom used ground beef. Originally, I used about 2.5 pounds of ground turkey for this meatloaf. We've already had a couple dinners. Now I'm freezing some slices here in a container for another meal later on in the month. In between pieces of parchment paper so that the meat doesn't stick together. You can label this if you like, so you know what the item is and the date that you put it in here. So here I sliced 2 pieces of meatloaf for my husband for a meatloaf sandwich, and I have a very small piece of meatloaf with some peas, and I'll probably put that with another side dish. So I have about 1.5 pounds of meatloaf left. I divided it into 3 sections. I'm going to create 3 meals, adding fresh and or canned ingredients. According to online information, meatloaf should only be refrigerated up to 4 days. So you need to freeze it. And I cooked this meatloaf 2 days ago. So I am in a hurry to cook up all these meals and decide what we want to eat and decide what we want to freeze. So let me know how long you keep your meatloaf in the refrigerator. And any recipes you might have, because I'm always open to new recipes, especially for meatloaf, because I like to change it up every once in a while. But I'm just using the traditional one that I've been using for years, and I am using ground turkey. And this is the one my mom used. It was from a Betty Crocker book years ago, and it's been up here in my head for 30 years. The first dish I'm going to start with is ground turkey hash brown skillet. I'm going to make it look like a casserole, but it's going to be in a skillet. And we're going to go low on the dishes here and just do a 1 skillet thing. I'm going to use these hash browns. They are frozen. They do have onions and peppers, but I like extra onions, so I had some extra onion. I've got it frying in a pan right now. I'm going to add the potatoes. Okay, I let this cook for a little while. I'm going to add hash browns, frozen hash browns. Okay, I put a little salt and pepper. I'll turn them over in just a few minutes and cook them on the other side. Okay, I'm going to turn them over, and they're starting to brown up pretty well here. Okay, I can remove these and put them in this dish. This is the dish, the final dish I'm going to have everything layered in. Now I'm going to make a little gravy with beef broth and flour. And whisk that in until it thickens. If you have canned soup, cream of anything soup, cream of chicken, cream of celery, cream of mushrooms, fine. To me, I consider the lumps like little dumplings, which there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, we have a can of mixed vegetables. We're going to throw that in here. See, so does it matter that we have lumps? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter at all. But when you put gravy over mashed potatoes, it's more noticeable that you might have lumps. But this is such an easy way to make a soup without using butter. And it also saves on a little bit of calories. Although I did use oil, a little bit of oil for the potatoes, but not much. See, now we got the base for our meat mix. I'm going to get my meat out. We're going to break it up. There we go. This is already pre-cooked, and I could have cut it up on a cutting board, but I chose to do it this way. I gotta be careful. I don't want to scratch my pan. This cold meat can be cut up ahead of time on a board or crumbled with your hands to the consistency of cooked ground meat. Since everything is fully cooked, I turn the burner to low heat. I wanted to save a board. I'm trying to save on dishes because I've been working in the garden and the dishes are just an added responsibility. I don't have a dishwasher. Okay, so we're trying to do a 1 skillet dish here. It's getting mixed up. This is good. This is good. Because if you had chunks of beef, for example, you would have a piece like that. Put the potatoes on top and spread them over the dish. And you are done. You're done. If you want to mix these up better and fry them some more, you can have a hash with a little gravy. But this is the way I wanted it because it's beautiful that way. So here's our hash brown ground turkey skillet. This is very similar to a stew. So my husband and I each have our dinner plates. We eat on small plates. If you eat on small plates, you eat less. And there's less food waste because some people, they don't eat all that's on their large plate and they put the rest in the trash. Not a good idea. That's wasteful. Look at all this that we have left over. I'll put that in the freezer. I'll put it in another container probably because I think I want to use this pan for the next dish along with this pan that I cleaned out. We're going to do another skillet dish, this time with cabbage. Okay, so now we're going to work with cabbage, and we're going to only use about 1/5 of this cabbage. And that way we'll reserve the rest for coleslaw and some other dishes, and cabbage will last a long time in the refrigerator. I was using the bottom part of the cabbage, so it was hard, and the outer part of the cabbage, and it was very challenging. We do need our knives sharpened, that's for sure. At one point, I even used a pillar knife to get through it. So that was the hardest part of this dish. Now it's very easy from here on. And most cabbages are easier than that one. That seems like it's a little harder than usual. But like I said, it was towards the bottom. And there was a core, and it was a little difficult. The top part of the cabbage in the middle is much easier. Okay, here's what I have to work with. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use, this is what I'm going to use instead of animal fat. All right. This is olive oil and sea salt, spreadable butter. They call it butter, and it has a butter-like consistency. Okay, about that. Maybe just a little over a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. Okay. Okay, I've got the butter melting. Let's start cooking our cabbage. And it will reduce down. Not like spinach, but it will reduce down some. And also, I have yellow and red pepper, bell peppers, chopped up. So while the cabbage is cooking, I'm going to make up a teriyaki sauce, with Asian flavors. I got some Worcestershire, some soy sauce, a little garlic, ooh, a little ginger, a lot of ginger. And I also have some sugar in here that was in this little container. Okay, this cabbage needs the liquid so it will cook faster. It's just not tender enough yet. And I had scallions in that liquid also. I cut up some green onion. I'm going to go ahead and add the meat. The meat will add a little bit of fat, and it needs it right now. I didn't use a whole lot of butter. So we added our meat. Now we just need to cook this on low heat with a lid on it for quite a while. And our dish is done. It's Asian inspired with a teriyaki flavor. It's cooked cabbage with ground turkey and bell peppers. I have our plates ready. This is my husband's plate. This is my plate. It's mostly cabbage. And we have some leftovers that I'm going to freeze in the freezer that I can pull out. I'll label it and pull it out, and we'll have it later in the month. Hello everyone. Today is a new day and a fresh start, but we're going to finish our meatloaf adventure. Now this ground turkey meatloaf, it's not any different from using a rotisserie chicken that you buy from the store or that you made yourself and then you create several meals with it. It's the same thing. So I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. And I just want to say that the dish that I cooked yesterday with the cabbage that had the Asian flair to it with the teriyaki sauce that I created, absolutely delicious and very tender. That ground turkey, it just melted in my mouth. So you need to try all three of these dishes though. Today I'm working with bell peppers. We're going to use the rest of that turkey meatloaf to make stuffed peppers. But I'm going to start with Spanish rice. So that's what I'm doing right now. Now I just boil the rice in a bag ahead of time. To me, that's a time saver rather than to cook it from scratch. I'll show you what I'm doing. I stretch the budget any way I can. So I use rice as fillers, and I eat rice with a lot of my food. Now these peppers, these bell peppers are already cut in half, as you can see, and thoroughly washed. I just need to take the seeds out. And the membranes. These little pieces here, just remove those. So I'm just using a very small pillar knife. Turn the burner on, and when this starts to boil, you cook them about 5 minutes. That way they're already pre-cooked when you put them in the oven. So they'll be tender when you take them out. There's the rice. It's already cooked. I'm going to take it out of there. It's going to cool, and I'm going to use that for the Spanish rice. So we're going to start that next. But put a lid on the pan. It will cook faster. Just watch it very closely so it doesn't begin to boil over. Then the lid will be floating up with the water. Okay, I've got an onion I just peeled, and I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to use all of the onion with a whole bag of rice. We're going to stretch out this Spanish rice because we can freeze some of it. Use it for stuffed peppers later in the month, or just pull it out and eat it as a side dish. We've got our peppers cooking, about 5 minutes. I've got the oven turned on, 350 Fahrenheit. I've got my a little bit of olive oil cooking in a pan. I'm getting ready to add the onions to the olive oil and cook the onions. And then my rice is sitting there. It's going to be added after I cook the onions. And then we have some sauce that I'm going to use. You can use whatever the recipe calls for. I'm just going to use some spaghetti sauce, and not all of it. I'm going to reserve some. My husband likes to add it later to his stuffed pepper. I sauteed my onions for a little while. You can saute them longer if you like. If you like them to be more translucent. I'm just going to add the rice and mix it around. The rice is already pre-cooked. So I'm going to turn the burner way down to low. Our peppers are done. This is what I do. I'm just going to put them over here to cool for a moment. Okay, we're going to start adding our sauce. Let's add some sauce. Chili powder with that. There's a little oregano. Same spices that from Adobe. Yeah. I don't have smoked paprika, but I'm still going to use it for coloring. Okay, and a little bit of garlic powder. Stir this around. Okay, let me mix this up. All right, let's add the meat. There we go. It's all mixed up and ready to go into the stuffed peppers. So one by one, we're going to fill our peppers with the mix. And I will give you a close-up. Got a pan right here, just drying it off. Just gave it a wash. I'm gonna go ahead and put the peppers into the pan and put them in the oven. And we'll put the cheese on afterward when they're still hot and I bring them out. Then I'll add some shredded cheese. These are going in the oven. Bake about 30 minutes at 350 Fahrenheit. I just pulled the stuffed peppers from the oven. There is not any grease at all because this was made with ground turkey and that the meatloaf virtually had very little fat going on. So it's a very lean choice for a stuffed pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and add my freshly shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Because of the amount of rice that's in these stuffed peppers, they are very filling. One would be good for a lunch. 2 or 1.5, I'd say. 2 would be a bit much for dinner, but you could combine it with other foods like a baked potato, cheesy potatoes, a side salad, some Italian bread, whatever you want to add as a side dish. Thanks for watching today. I hope I inspired you to create multiple meals with a meatloaf, just like you would a rotisserie turkey or a roast. Combined with other ingredients and side dishes, this meatloaf provided 8 meals for my husband and I, which is 16 servings. Just remember to, if you have a surplus of food in the refrigerator from creating these meals that you would need to freeze some if it's not eaten up within 3 to 4 days. I also hope that I inspired you to stay on a budget, to stretch out your meals, and to consider leaner meats for these entrees. If you cook a meatloaf to use ground turkey, it's a good choice, but you can use any kind of ground meat that you like for these dishes. May many blessings come your way. I'll see you on the next one.